So the recording is in progress.
It is. Hmm. So, Nadia, thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation with me.
Well, mostly thank you so much for inviting me.
I remember a couple of months ago, a year ago, I saw a post of you on Instagram while I was like doing a lot of cap sessions, and I saw a post of you, and I remember I saw you that you had an operation. And it was like the first thing that I saw about you. You had an operation, and you had like a healing with the heart, and you had like there was change. And then as more and more time was progressing, and I kept seeing you, I saw like you were doing a lot of sessions, and then you were doing trainings, and then I visited you, and then I talked with you, and it was so easy to just go with your energy because you're just so friendly and so warm. So I'm really grateful to also have had my training with you.
It was an honor for you to join, um, especially because you have so much experience. So it was a definite honor to say welcome to the family. Um, and yes, I think that initial post that you saw was me celebrating my life because it was like an anniversary date that I look back from what my body has been through, what I have been through, and what kind of things it brought me, the gifts. But yeah, sometimes it does draw attention, like seeing post-surgery photos. Yeah.
So can you maybe share like where do you come from? What has your journey been like?
But where do you want me to start?
Wherever you feel like you want
How
to
long
start.
ago?
Wherever
I
you
was
feel.
born in 97. No. So what you mean, the spiritual kind of journey when?
I mean you as Nadia.
Well, because we know each other from energetic work. So I guess because there's many different sides of a life, but I guess my energetic life, that's the kind of thing we're interested in. I guess also for your channel. The whole energy world was introduced to me when I was very young. So my mom fell from a horse when I was about, I don't know, 6 or 7, and she had severe back injury. She needed surgery for that. And at one point, I remember, I don't know exactly the details, but she was in a bed in our living room. And many things had been done to try and help her, regain the use, the function of her legs. But there was still damaging of the nerves. And I remember this lady with blue bright eyes coming into our living room, and she was doing a sort of magnetic treatment for my mom. And as a child, I was fascinated with this. I was fascinated because my mom's legs started to really tremble. And, it was like I was watching a movie take place in our own living room. And this lady continued to work with my mother for a while and for a couple of sessions. And as soon as she left, as children do, I would go and do the same sort of thing. For my mom, I would start to imitate the lady, and I think for about 10 years she was part of our life. My mom recovered from her injuries, so that's kind of like seeds were already planted for me to want to do something with these hands. But as life happens. You start to do school and studies and those kind of things. But I have always been asking the bigger questions. So where do I come from? What else is there? What is life about? What's behind the clouds? I remember the first time flying. I was so super excited. Not to go on a holiday, but I was so super excited because now finally I got to see what was beyond the clouds. And I was of course told, that was heaven. And in heaven, all the stories about what was there in heaven. And I was so eager to see it. And of course I wanted to be next to the window and all of these things, and everybody mistaken my enthusiasm for, oh, she would like to go on that holiday, but I just wanted to see heaven. I was super disappointed that I didn't see people living up there. Really? Oh, God doesn't exist. And those kind of things were really on my mind. I was always looking for those kind of answers. And I guess, a lot of children, especially nowadays, I guess, they are so connected to where they come from. It's quite natural for them to ask those kind of questions. But later in life, yes, things happened that I really needed to fall back on with really, really huge questions. Because at the age of 25, when I was already, doing sort of a business life, having a job, which I really didn't like. I was just changed jobs because I really wanted to do something more in line with who I was, instead of being behind a computer all day. I nearly died because my aorta dissected. So this is sort of a medical thing where your aorta, which is the really big artery from above your heart all the way down into your belly, providing all your organs with blood, it can break or rupture or dissect, which is the medical term. And that happened to me sort of out of the blue. And that immediately is life-threatening, because all of the major organs are not getting enough blood. So yeah, that was sort of my new life started when I was 25. I was feeling bad for a couple of months already. I was having physical symptoms. Mentally, I wasn't feeling well. Normally, I would be a very active person. I would do a lot of sports and so on, but my body just really didn't feel well. I was sweating in the night, having nightmares, and I wasn't sure what was happening. So of course, what happens is you go to the doctor, and they just thought I had a burnout. Okay, take it easy, stay home, rest, but nothing really seemed to help. Felt like my body was in overdrive. I wish they would have checked some of the basic things, because my body was in overdrive. Was really suffering. So they said to me it's a mental thing, and it wasn't. So when finally my body started to show the symptoms, it was already too late. And I ended up in the hospital being in a coma for 40 days. And yeah, in that time, my loved ones had to say goodbye to me for a couple of times because it was very unsure whether I would make it, yes or no. They did major operations on my aorta. They replaced part of it, so it became a plastic tube. They replaced parts of my heart. I received a pacemaker. My left leg nearly got amputated because it wasn't receiving enough blood. So the lower leg was messed up. The kidneys, honestly, Igor, it was a big mess. The physical was a big mess. And yeah, spiritually, it was quite another type of experience. It was extraordinary what I went through reaching the state of nearly dying. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So, if I ask you, who are you? Who is Nadia? What comes up for you?
Well, there is a few things that come up from you for me. The first thing is that I want to say I'm you. And I'm light. Because when I share this story of the things that I went through, the memory of where we come from becomes so much more active. And I know sort of we're designed to forget also. So it's not sort of the day-to-day experience, but yeah, in essence, that's what we are, light.
You think that our lives have like this overarching theme, like, you know, like something that you have to learn or work through in your life?
Well, from this perspective, I'm not sure. The only thing I can say is that when I went through my life crisis, I knew that this was part of my soul's journey. So there, although it was very heavy, there was no resistance whatsoever, because the feeling or the knowingness was that this was part of my life. And was that something that I had to do? That doesn't feel right. Is it a choice? I think words are a bit limited here. It kind of just felt that this is my life.
During when that was happening, did, like, on a personal level, did you have like all these kind of things of like, oh, I'm going to die, or like, oh, what's going to happen with me, like as a woman, and but like the future, if you do survive, what's going to happen?
At that moment, no, not at all. For me, it would have been totally fine to go. It was a bit more challenging to stay because of how the body was damaged. It was very challenging to stay in that. But what I felt that the only thing that was really sort of troubling me was the pain I knew my loved ones would feel if I would leave the body at that early age. somehow I kind of feel that this was part of the motivation to have to stick around. And maybe there was more. Maybe there was much more to still experience.
Yeah.
But I started to appreciate life a lot better afterwards.
Mm. Can I ask you, in your own life, if you look back on it, what has definitely worked for you and what hasn't worked for you?
Um, what has worked for me is to surrender to life. And life, for me, I don't have any, for me, God, love, universe, life, it's for me, that's all sort of the same. But surrender my will to just life. And then I feel life always has my back. What really doesn't work for me is, following sort of an idea of this is what I need to do, this is what I need to achieve, this is how I need to be, or how I need to fix this, or this part of myself. Honestly, this has given me, because there were phases where I was really like working to get to that stage. It has caused me a great deal of sort of suffering. So surrendering is really what works. Yeah.
I wonder, because of the experiences you had in the hospital and having to face your own mortality, and after surviving that, and then coming back to normal life, do you still experience, like, do you still have very big challenges, or like do you still feel really challenged by life sometimes?
Um, I don't know if I'm challenged by life, but I'm challenged by some of the patterns inside of myself. Some of the biggest challenges I have is that inside of me, I like to connect to people. I like to have, um, beautiful understandings, beautiful sharings, beautiful connections, like with you in our sessions. Those moments of magic, of divine connection, of seeing the other in that light or the perfection. Those kind of moments are very sacred for me. And what happens if for instance, the people who come and who I feel or sort of are my friends or are part, and then if they go away, or they, I don't know, they misunderstand or misinterpret or have their own ideas, and those kind of things keep me up. Yeah, we're teaching, we're doing groups, and people have all these ideas about it, or these judgments, or these, and those kind of things. Yeah, those are still my challenges. Kind of want everybody to know what's in my heart, and yeah, not everybody sees it.
Wow.
It can keep me up at night. I used to consider it a weakness. I don't really know about that.
So, last question about your experiences in the hospital. What do you think it has allowed you to grow in or develop in yourself, like on a characteristic kind of level?
Well, I think we all have a seed of remembrance of where we come from. But because in our childhood, before the age of, I don't know, 3, 4, we don't remember much. We also remember, we also don't remember our origin. I think what it has allowed me to do is at a adult age, go back home, sort of get a more alive or vivid experience, and remember on another level, bring that memory back. So when life challenges me, I remember that the teachings from that place. So I don't get caught up too much in the day-to-day Maya or the illusions. And I also knew that I was designed to also forget this, so that it would, fade away. But some of it remains. So the first, I don't know, 6 months or a year, it was so easily to reach that place. But I knew that, the distance or the feeling would also, you need to land on earth again, or you need to be able to be here. But it feels like it's closer than it was before.
Did you have mystical kind of experiences or energetic experiences or spiritual experiences during that whole period?
As well, I don't often talk about those. Yes, especially in the few years after. I was seeing a lot of things. I was experiencing a lot of things in the nights. Sometimes they would scare me, because if you wake up and you see stuff, it's sort of the instinct taking over. It's also because I kind of, on a physical level, there was a lot of desperation because there was a lot of pain. And well, you want to do everything you can to get rid of that pain. And if nothing helps, sort of, you start to pray, to ask, and really beg, almost, please help me. Or and help is actually always there. It is there if we ask for it. So I did get experiences that I will never forget. That really changed my life. Why not? I one night I woke up, I saw this huge ball of light in the room. It scared the shit out of me. It was like, and it was spinning. It was, and that made a sound. It was spinning really, really quickly. There was structures into it. It was just, coming out of your sleep. You're like, what is it? And adrenaline was pumping through my system, because the whole room was as if it was, starting to be daylight. And I knew I sort of asked for these experiences, but at the same time, my instinct was taking over, because in the night, when we have like melatonin flushing through our system, we are more receptive. But in the night also, we are more scared for the things we see. Even a little thing on the floor when you need to pee can be a scary thing. It's like, it's just how we are built. So I'm looking at this this ball of light, and it feels like it's communicating to me without words. It's information coming in like really, really fast, but also really, really overwhelming. So when the fear gets the better of me, I turn on the lights. I'm like, what? I turn on the lights, and I can see this ball fade away. And then another kind of fear creeps up. It's like, no, no, don't go. Because, I kind of feel like now I'm in control, because I felt I wasn't in control. But now I turn on the light, I'm back in control, and now it's going away. It never really went away. Yeah, it never really went away. It was just the light allowed me to have an experience that was more controllable. And from that moment, I think my healing journey started. I started to find the ways to help myself.
Yeah.
Which was really guided. I think we spoke about synchronicities just a little bit before this interview started. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. I don't often share that. I'm kind of fed up with thinking, maybe sound a little bit crazy. Yeah, people may think I'm crazy anyway. So, but this is what happened. It's one of the most cherishable experiences.
Thank you. Do you believe in something? Do you have faith?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If I look outside, if I look at nature, if I, the creation leaves me in awe. So I'm left in wonder about all of it. I try not to put it into a box. It's like this, or it's like that, or it's because, as soon as you box it, that's it. There's nothing else. And I think it's so huge. How could I ever comprehend it? The most closest to my heart that I feel resonates with me is the philosophy of the Vedas. That really makes a lot of sense. It's I think I have only, there's so much, and what I known or studied is already so huge in knowledge. It makes me eager to know more.
Do you ever close your eyes and just be like, thank you, or you really just pray, or you go in dialogue or communication with the divine spirit, or however you want to call it?
Yes. Oh, you're really good at this, Igor. You kind of had a lot of practice, right, with these interviews. You know how to ask the really important questions. How does this work actually? Do I get to ask you questions as well?
Sure.
Oh, okay. They're coming later. My prayer is often thank you. Thank you for life. Thank you for this experience. Thank you for what else is coming. Thank you for what just the state of gratitude. And I like to listen. I like to sit down and listen. Just open up and listen. And sometimes the information is still has to sort of land. And I'm like, really? No, my life is going that way. No. And then, okay, later I go like, oh, okay. Just, you know, show me the way. And I don't mean something outside of myself. It's my own inner, it's my soul, it's my inner wisdom, but my personality sometimes is like, okay, how are we going to do it? But instead of me praying, which I did back then, like praying for help, but I tried to just listen. Yeah.
Mm.
Listen to that kind of music and see where it wants to take me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing. So imagine that there are like people living their lives and they're like immersed in a rat race. And then they have some kind of experience. And then after that experience, they almost feel like, oh, I don't have to be in the rat race anymore. My life is like guided. And I have like these innate gifts or innate impulses to go to certain things, meet certain people, and co-create something. And then the story changes from I'm being guided and it's all about harmony or whatever their thinking is. Like, how can people make that shift from being stuck in the rat race and I have to do this to go towards being connected, being guided?
Well, it's a big question. I think one thing that is very important is that we realize that the guidance comes from within.
Mm-hmm.
So if we keep seeking guidance from without, I kind of know these phases in my life where you're looking for the signs. I wanted sort of this is years back. I wanted God to come down and say, this is what you have to do, this is where you're going, and then I would do it. But honestly, I was like, okay, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
But it's coming from inside. This is where we are really guided, and then it's always the right path. Because if we visit, like people who read the cards or stuff, you know, all the time, it can be very valuable when you do it, I don't know, once a year. Or but if you keep doing it, it just messes with your mind. So the true guidance comes from within, and you need to quiet down to hear it. So Vipassana is not for everyone. We have found other ways of quieting down. So our way is like kundalini energy or inner energy or cosmic energy, the energetic practices that allow you to come back into alignment with yourself. But whatever works for you, because there's not one way to do this. You know, for people, it sometimes works to be in solitude or in silence, or to be in nature, or I don't know, to swim naked, or whatever works for you. Find that place within yourself. That's what I would do, and live from there. And you might need to make challenging decisions. And people sometimes ask me, oh, I feel the call to, you know, start to do different jobs and so on. I often say to them, well, you know, you don't have to change everything all at once. Because if you give up your, I don't know, security, you'll create so much stress
Mm.
that, that will bring you out of alignment. Maybe the first step is just, to allow more space in your life to do what you truly like.
Mm.
And you still need to have the regular job to just make sure you get to do, keep your
Mm.
house and those kind of things, and then move a bit slow. But the idea is sometimes that it needs to be like a radical shift.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the radical shift can happen on the inside, and the outside will follow. So it doesn't need to happen overnight.
Yeah. Still there? Can you hear me, Nadia?
Yes, I hear you.
Ah, sorry, the screen froze a little bit.
Yeah, same.
So, by the way, we can always after the session, we can, if there are parts that you want me to cut out or edit, you can just tell me and I'll edit it.
So you're very experienced with these kind of interviews. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this since I think sporadically on and off a year. Started doing this after a kundalini session that I had. It came to me like YouTube channel and channel of love. And once I had the experience, when I was at home, it just came very impulsively, very, very slowly. And then I was interviewing people that I had worked with or that I had met. And for me, it was also very interesting to get like a view into how they see and feel and understand, and to see what resonates, what doesn't resonate, and to learn. So very interesting for me.
So you found your calling.
um, Perhaps, yeah, perhaps. Do
And,
you?
and how did that work for you?
How did that work for me? Um, for me, I remember very, very well where I was like in a down moment. I started doing Joe Dispenza, Blessing of the Energy Centers. And I started to feel very alive, had a lot of impulses. And then I joined a CAP session, met somebody, and they told me about CAP. And then when I started to do more and more CAP sessions, more and more information was coming through, and more a sense, like this innate feeling of knowing became apparent, like, oh yeah, not this, not this, this. And then for me, I was really hooked on it because it was so strong. And it was not something that I had like to, I see it on the blackboard and I rationalize, think about it and be like, this plus this adds this. Am I content with this? No, it was like an inner experience, feeling, and a knowing. And it felt so authentic and so real that it was like, yeah, this is the obvious thing to do, because there's like this conviction or like almost a surrender to it that, yeah, yeah. And then you just start
Oh,
to follow that more and more and more.
oh, oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah. Mm,
So lots of transformation in the last year.
yes. Yes, a lot. Um,
I'll be really eager to keep following you and see where you end up. Yeah,
Thank you, Nadia.
absolutely.
I hope to visit you soon again to have a session with you.
You're very welcome.
Do you believe that, we have like ancestors, that your ancestors can be sometimes be with you and support you, or like guardian angels or angelic beings, these kind of things? Do you have any belief in that, or any thoughts about that?
Um, for me, it's an absolute yes. I've had lots of experiences in that realm. Um, Visual or other types of experience, even in the sessions where light is surrounding people, or you can really people feel that like a group is around them, and I kind of like, oh, I have to get out of the way. But I feel we as humans have the need to say, oh, let's put some wings there, and this is from that side, and let's name it. Yeah. Let's label it.
Yeah.
And perhaps you will have an experience where you really feel it was angelic, but often I kind of just for me personally, I'm more open when I don't label it. It's like, wow, that was something, because the mind wants to make it something the human can understand. So we think from our perspective, and often the things we were told as children, we keep them the whole life. So people talk about and the beings, those kind of beings and those kind of beings. But I think when we are pure energy, it's just energy. Yes, definitely people feel their ancestors. But in essence, if everything is one and connected, then we are all part of that one great energy, which has different ways of showing itself. And so it anything can be everything.
Yeah.
I don't know any other words to use.
Thank you, Nadia. Who inspires you, and who did you primarily, if I can say, study with?
Well, for me, it's actually very emotional. The moment when this light appeared, I started to go on a journey. And in this journey, one of the first things I did was go to a school of consciousness. And this was something sort of I never expected to be, I don't know, blindfolded many hours a day, do practices, reconnecting to God within, using my mind and my consciousness in different ways. But I had a great motivator. I wanted to heal. And for healing, some people do great things from inspiration, some people from desperation. There was certainly desperation. So I was motivated to do something with a body that was very limited. And I focused very much on recovering. And very shortly after spending a lot of time doing that, I met Eric Pearl, which he is an American chiropractor doing energetic work. I didn't think he looked like a healer. I didn't think he talked like a healer. He had like the non-typical healer: a leather jacket, fancy clothes, his looks, American sort of face, but he had a very interesting message. So he certainly, it's a long story, but I ended up traveling around the world with him for, I think, 16 years. He's had a great influence on my life, on my health, on the way I perceive energetic work. So I would say, yeah, he is definitely a great influence. The School of Consciousness was definitely also something that my whole view of who we are and how we get to use our mind, because what we think matters, really, really impacted me as well. Those things were really greatly. And then there was a Swami called, like, the first Dutch Swami, Rama, which is just a name people give because it's an incarnation. But this was like the first yoga book I was ever given by my grandmother. I guess that's also shaped the way I look at life, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Can I ask you, because you talked about Eric Prohl, his work, and you share it in your trainings. You shared a book of him, which I've listened to 3 times on audio.
Oh.
It's very nice. And can you maybe explain in your own words, what is reconnective healing? How can it be applied? How can it help people?
Well, reconnective healing is a way of healing where we allow the body to find a state of balance, again, through an interaction with the field of energy, light, and information. And when we interact with that energy, light, and information, the body does what it does naturally, restore. It can have an impact on your physical body, as it did for me, which was the cherry on top of the cake, because below that there was so much more happening. Our body is one level, but mind, emotional, consciousness is all combined together, and all of that together creates the experience. I must say that what we did back then is no longer the way I practice now. But it's like we in our life have an evolution. We don't listen to the same music as we did 20 years ago. Things evolve. We don't make the same food, although your mom's cooked food is still the most delicious, but you kind of like find new ways. But that kind of work, did have a major impact. So we just allow the body to do what it does naturally. So nothing outside is healing or rebalancing or restoring. It's just like you put the plug back in, and then it gets to do what it does.
Yeah. And for you, what kind of healing did you have?
Well, one of the first things that I noticed, because I had severe nerve damage, so the leg that I spoke about had severe nerve damage, and within weeks that was gone.
Wow.
Or at least I could, the nerves normally restore very, very slowly. So that my interpretation is that it was accelerated so much that I could use my foot in such a different way, which allowed me to walk much more easily, which allowed me to get, sort of a life again, to not be so limited. Or if you're in pain, it's also always causing you a lot of tiredness also, because it's very energy draining. So it opened up a lot for me. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, if this is gone, I'm getting part of my life back.
Yeah. Do you right now you don't practice reconnective healing, but you have a different name, right, that you use?
Well, I still honor and that part of my journey, but as we know each other from our kundalini energy training and sessions. So what happened after about 15, 16 years, I have always been eager to know everything there is in this field of energetic work. I have given up on that, honestly, because I cannot know everything. I am just like following what I want to do. You know,
Yeah.
once I went to Brazil. I went to Abujana. There is a the special healer, John of God. I wanted to go there and experience that. I went to India, to special places, to Bali, to
Mm,
Thailand. I wanted to have all these experiences just to know. So uh, one of those kind of experience was when I had Kundalini experiences, inner dance experiences. Um, those kind of experiences, they also become part of who you are. So the way I work now is like um, the last, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, it's all been about, the focus has been more about that. So it combines together. Um, you can't say, oh, now let's shut that part off and let's only do this part,
mm,
because you're missing out on all of the experiences that life has brought you.
mm,
So it more became taking the best of both worlds.
mm.
So yeah, I still do healing. Um, the good thing about healing is that it's it's for everyone, children, babies, elderly. It's for everyone.
Mm.
And from our work, the Kundalini sessions, you don't bring children into those, for instance.
Yeah. Mm. I've
I don't
received
know if that makes sense to you.
I received a healing session from you, and a couple actually, and I must say it was really so nice, like so nice. I didn't expect it to be so nice, but yeah, like wow, it's like bathing in lights. It's just so nice. So really eager to do a new session with you.
So what made it, what surprised you the most, or what made it so?
Um, like internally, like going into places internally, and like all of a sudden I started to feel so deeply, so deeply, and feeling this aliveness, and then feeling this light, and then really feeling like being cleansed and purified, or feeling really like just like so light. And for me that was like just like almost like coming alive again, really like on such a deep level. And it was so nourishing and warming. And yeah, for me it's such a gift. I was like, wow. Like it's just like my own reaction was like, wow. Like wow. Yeah.
Well, if you would see this face, I'm still looking at like, really? Oh, wow, tell
Yeah.
me. Because I think we should always stay in wonder.
Mm.
Because everyone's experience is different. Of course, we hear this. I kind of hear these things like, oh, where is the flashlight? Why did you
Yeah.
shine flashlights? I have no idea. But yeah, it always keeps me in wonder, like, wow, what else
Mm.
kind of experiences are we capable of?
So another question that I had was like, you can choose if you want to answer this or not. Can you say something about like the politics about working in such a big company on an international level and so many people?
And what company do you mean?
like when you were traveling and doing the reconnective healing and in such.
Oh, well, there was really many good parts because it meant I had colleagues all over the world. And we used to travel in sort of teams. Then I would meet up with this team, and there would be that friend, or I would meet up with that team, and there would be that friend. And we all had our personal histories.
Mm.
So, you know, we would often share hotel rooms because we only got to sleep for a few hours anyway. So, and we were all there as ambassadors for the work.
Yeah.
But the American culture is very, very different in the way they work with people. And for a very long time, that was totally fine for me. I was there mostly because I was super grateful for what this has brought into my life. That's why I was there,
Yeah.
to share as, okay, people, this is what it can do for you. If it did something for me, I cannot guarantee it does anything for you, but I was there to share my story. Often I could share a little bit about my healing story on the stage. You know, talk to people. That would be very rewarding. It would make sense that people got to see that, you know, it really works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in the long run, some of these things start to bother you. Just the way it can be a bit commercialized. And that's what I felt when there was some major changes happening in the company where, yeah, new managers coming in, new ways of working, where I could really feel like, oh, you know, for me, it's about something else. And honestly, it was a very sad time because I felt that there is a close, yeah, something, part of my journey is coming to an end, and I couldn't see the next part yet. So I think for about I don't know, a year and a half, I was sort of in limbo. Like, yes, you know, there was so much history, there is so much love, there's so much connection. I know I had, you know, I had times with Eric in Amsterdam. It was so much fun. And then there was also the reality of them not traveling anymore and things changing a lot.
Yeah.
And I had to come also to surrender to life there. And then life showed me other ways.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So one more thing I wanted to ask about, can you briefly explain what is a personal reconnection?
You froze.
Yeah, I wanted to say, can you briefly explain what is a personal reconnection?
Well, there's two ways we can work with the frequency. It's either for healing, or personal reconnection means that you go into a process that is a choice. It's a personal choice. Yes, I feel the desire to reconnect more fully to the earth, to the grid, to the universe, to become the more, to reconnect to my original blueprint. And then you go into a process which is often done in 2 days. So 2 sessions, which allows those kind of channels, I mean, not channels, but lines to open to give you that kind of experience. It was still, when I had that experience at the age of 27, I still consider it one of the most profound experiences of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Would you say it has a life-changing effect also, like a before and after?
Sometimes, yes. It's like put on your fasten your seat belts, get ready for takeoff. Um, the Yeah, you get sort of thrown on your life path, and for most people nowadays that's a very pleasurable experience. But yeah, like 25 years ago or 30 years ago, it was like, this is quite a new movement. So I think the world is more ready now, and I also think actually what people experience already now from one or two sessions, regular sort of sessions, is the same. And this was always something that was said, energy, our vibration is rising. So we are rising in our consciousness, we are expanding. So things will become quicker and easier instead of more complicated. So often people have the idea of like, now I found this process, you have to do this and this and this, so many steps, and then you will be. But evolution is making it less complicated. So we're ready to sort of, I kind of like see it as popcorn. We're ready to open, and this one is going and that one is going. We're awakening, and we're as if we get the right environment. So either all the sessions you offer now, this can be, let's keep the popcorn experience. This can be the microwave or the pan. I like to do it in this with the right environment, something can open up.
Yeah. Can you tell me about your experience with the kundalini energy and how you got into that?
Yes. Well, I was surrendering to life, and where do I start? I was invited to go to a session in Amsterdam by someone who had done a course for me, like a workshop that I offered as well, something fun that you might do. It's with music and so on. And I went. I'm always eager to experience and learn. So I was there, and as soon as I lay down, I had an experience that was very similar to my reconnection. So that meant that my arms started to do all sorts of things, which was very recognizable for me from that kind of experience. So this is what happens in the human mind. First, we recognize what we already know. We compare, like, wow, that's been a long time that my arms did that, because often it was the head and it started to do those kind of things. I had the full experience. My body was already, I guess, so open. I was used to surrendering. I had the full experience, arms, legs, emotions, everything. And especially I liked so much the way the experience was offered with music, which already I worked in silence for so long that for me, I kind of was fed up with that. You kind of it was always like meditation, beautiful. You can hear your inner music, but I love the outer music as well. It was so much fun for me. So it just I just had to know more. And I had to bring other people, and I had to tell me honestly what they thought. I said, okay, I have experienced something. Come along, tell me what you think. And some of them really liked it. Some of them really said, well, I still have to get into it. But after a couple of times, they also started to feel the vibe. And as I always do, I wanted to know more. I had a really nice conversation with one of the girls that I met there. She now is facilitating her own sessions. I said to her, you know what, I'm doing also this kind of work, and people have similar experiences. Would you mind coming over and just lay on my table, and we can experience together if this is sort of similar or not? Brooke is her name, and so she came, and we were both very curious to see what she would experience. And she is really like a goddess. She looks like a goddess. She moves like a goddess. So she was there on the table, and we didn't play any music. And as soon as we started, there she was again with her moves and everything. And from that point on, I kind of was like, okay, you know, I have to know more. So this was even long before COVID. So I thought, let's find everything I needed to know online, study online, find out where it comes from, with whom, the different trainers, and then I was in for a treat. Then I was in for a treat, because this person was saying this thing, and this person was saying that thing, and this person didn't like this person, and this, oh my God. Oh my God. This is honestly, you know, and I had to dig and find, and took as many courses as I could. Some were really good. Some were of a different nature. Some had a different focus. I really like the full energetic experience. So you can, I love body work, to have it done for myself, but not so much to practice it. I like to know, what does the energy body do? This is just the focus in my life. So I did CAP training with Venant. I did training, a lot of training with Pai from Inner Dance, who was sort of like the grandfather of all of that kind of energy. I had many different types of sessions. I went to other trainers who had trained by either, you know, one of them, or in a different experience. Yeah, so that was kind of the initiations.
What impact did it have on your day-to-day life, and on your life, like doing these kind of sessions and then becoming a facilitator of that kind of process?
Well, I was very much used to working one-on-one. So I started to work so much more with groups. What it brought to me, which has also became one of the phrases that I use a lot, is it brought the joy of being alive. Because the way we are able to work with music, which is your own like personal signature, your art, the experience people have, especially the emotional releases. I really am enthusiastic about that, because it's very, very cleansing, and I have had, you know, I needed that myself in my life, so I know how important it is. I'm very grateful, yeah, that people get to experience that on the mat, just an hour, and sometimes it feels to them as if they've had like a year's worth of therapy, because it's all coming out instead of just speaking about it. It's really being released, which makes me really humble and grateful.
So at one point you were a CAP facilitator, right?
Yes.
And then right now you are facilitating energy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you explain me how you made that shift? Maybe if you want, why, and what is energy now for you?
While I was on my experimental journey, I was still seeing my clients, of course. I was having my practice, I was still seeing my clients, but something in me had shifted. My energy had shifted. So what I was experiencing was that the people on my table were having different type of experiences already. So it was very clear when one lady got off the table, moved around on the floor. I had a space where that was totally safe and possible. And I was there thinking, I thought I was doing some sort of healing, but now apparently people are moving into another direction. I had conversations about that, amongst others with Pi, who said, oh yeah, this is really the mother saying, hello, I'm here. You asked for me. This is already happening. So then I was already facilitating a few experimental sessions. And I got the chance to do the CAP training, which I am super grateful for. It's not everybody gets accepted, which for a lot of people is a very emotional process. I did that training because the days of immersing into something always give you some so huge personal benefit, gives you a huge personal benefit. And it was a beautiful way to deeply dive into myself, into what I could experience. But I was also noticing that it was kind of like if you do it, you have to sign the way we also signed with the Americans. A contract, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And I totally understand that, because that's the way they offer their experiences. There's really nothing that I want to say that is negative about that in any way, because I truly feel blessed. But I did notice that, with me, with my background, I couldn't shut that off. I was doing what I did, and it was I couldn't say, okay, now turn it off. Let's only do this, and let's not do that. And of course, I also knew more about the history and where these things came from. And that made me, it made me go on a quest. Like, what am I doing? What are people experiencing? Because I cannot facilitate in any other way than I was trained. So 15, 16 years of training compared to 5 days doesn't, for me, it's so much more of decades of training. That is what I am, what is coming through in my kind of experiences, that I thought, well, then it's no longer something that someone else labeled. Then it's becoming what for me is authentic. And energy is a little bit an honor to the energy that is described, the way it was first introduced in the world when Pai Villarosa had his first experiences. Many people won't know this, but almost all of the teachers nowadays in the world have at one point in their experience been in training with Pai, who is a Filipini soul who had his experience of the energy after he went on a long pilgrimage. He likes to call the energy the mother. or the Divine Mother, or there's many different names, or infinity, but also energy is my idea or my concept of what is happening when this awakening happens on the inside. Comes from my interest in study into the yoga philosophy. Mm-hmm. So the N is for the nadis, which are the energy channels we have in and around our bodies. This is like the 27,000. I have not counted them, but they're numerous. And when they awaken, when they flow freely, this is when we have a broader human experience in our bodies and in our consciousness. There is a few major nadis, but there is, we all kind of know those, maybe Sushumna, Ida, Pingala, but there's many different nadis throughout the whole system, and you might feel them become active in a session. So Rama, for me, is just one of the ways to describe this universal energy. But since that was my first book by Swami Rama, and my last name is Ram, which in India means God, it made a lot of sense to use that. And G for greatness, because I think we are reconnecting to the greatness within us. So you, the Y means you. So when we awaken our energy system, we can finally, I think we have been waiting for this for so long, realize that the greatness is within us. And that means it's also within every other human being that we are in touch with. So not only in us, but in all of us. Mm-hmm. So that's my mission, to let people realize their own greatness.
Wow.
I don't know if that story makes sense with all of the trainers and stuff, and if it's, I hope it is as respectful to everyone as I want it to be. And also as respectful to this being my own journey, mm-hmm. and me wanting to share my way and my understanding with the world.
Yeah. So at one point you also started to train facilitators. Can you tell me about how that idea bloomed and manifested into reality and how that was?
Well, because of my experience as a trainer for so many years, lots of people started to ask me to maybe teach them. And I don't want to teach until I think I can fully embody something. So I think it has to come from yourself, your authentic way, until you, that doesn't mean you cannot learn or you cannot expand, but you have to really know something to help another to get the same sort of understanding. So it took me a while to really get a lot of experience in this way. I think I worked with, I don't know, lots of groups. And then I got this sort of like kick in the ass. It's time. It's time. Like, but. There was always many buts. This is the scary, the scary part, or the little child, and yeah. At one point, they were just, in one experience, they were just blown away, gone, and I decided to go on an adventure and teach. And mostly because I had to reconnect with what is the higher purpose. So what is the higher purpose for teaching? because that made a difference to me. Because if we teach, that means a lot more people get to interact with this energy. And if a lot more people get to interact with this energy, because you are able to provide sessions, and a lot of people around you, or the people that we've trained, they will find that part of themselves. They will find that place of happiness or that joy of being alive. They will bring that home with them to their families, to their children. So instead of, I felt a lot of resistance when it came to like a personal part. But when I reconnected to the bigger vision of thinking through all these people, so much more awakening will spread. Then that was the push that I needed.
So it was a calling.
It was a calling, yes. Yes.
You received it while you were sipping tea or in a session, or?
You remember the story about the ball of light? It was a similar kind of experience.
Oh, okay.
I still have the notes for writing it, how I wrote it down. The initial idea was to work together with others and maybe make it a program of about a year. So people could really be trained and guided. But the initial draft was made after like waking up in the night and having an experience. But later, nowadays, people don't want to spend a year. And the way we have, or I have thought of it, is that you can spend six days with us, 6 or 7. One is optional, and you're always free to come back. So we offer a lot of very low cost, like family days, where you can, ask your questions, receive sessions, give sessions. So then they're optional. You're not tied to have to come back. So there is support. So it became what it is now, after training well over 100 people.
Yeah. The way that you also give sessions, it's always like in a family setting, because you always co-facilitate with people that are close to you.
Well, I didn't used to do that. It used to be just me, maybe people helping sometimes with tea or stuff. But it also feels a little bit lonely sometimes. And for me, when I started to train, I truly believe that what is giving us these experiences is the energy, and we are serving it by the best of our ability. We are with a lot of joy being part of this whole interaction. So what I can do, you can do. And to show that there is no level of difference. So to practice what you preach is to show, we facilitate together. We just hold this space together. There's not one facilitator, who is up there and all of us are, or the rest of you are down there. No, the energy is the wonderful thing we're all working with. And yeah, we are, as a facilitator, we are each other's equals. So I once was at a place where people also train facilitators, and then there was someone facilitating 100 people by themselves, and the other facilitators were not working. And to me, that doesn't make sense, because if you train people, you believe in their capability, of serving those who surrender. So for me, that's the purpose of working with our energy family.
Can you maybe in a very simple way explain so that a person who is not into energy can also understand it? How can you make somebody who's not a facilitator to facilitate these kinds of sessions?
Okay, well, I think a few things need to happen. We need to allow time, space, and experience for them to trigger a remembrance. Because it's simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. If you spend a few days really soaking in the energy, really remembering what it's like to be in that kind of state, that changes you. It changes the way you perceive the world, perceive yourself, and the way you step into facilitating a session. So that's a big advantage. And part of what we do in the trainings is that we awaken our senses in a different way. So through practice, through certain exercises, through receiving certain sessions, you awaken certain experiences, and you bring those into your facilitation as well. Then, since we are, in this sort of human experience, we also need a few words, concepts, and ideas. So part of it is energy, and that you have to really soak into, and part of it is consciousness. So what is really happening? So we need to build a construct for it in our minds. We keep it open because so much more is happening, but what is really happening? So you keep receiving this energy instead of sending it to everyone, trying to fix people. So we need to have a philosophy of what we're doing. This allows you to step into your session with a sort of secure feeling of knowing, what is happening with these people, and allows you also to trust.
So in energy, or in the world, you can connect to different frequencies, right? And if somebody were to ask you, what is this energy we are connecting with? What is it specifically? What would you say?
Oh, let me think of it. Well, I like to see it as an intelligence that has wisdom, and it reminds us of our innate wisdom. It is like Mother Earth waking us up, saying, hey, you have been in slumber long enough, and now it's time to open your eyes and know who you are. Here again, we have the human need to label it, to give it a name, or I think the best thing is to experience it and to feel what it means to you. But mostly for me, what I like to call it an intelligence is because I feel I can have a personal relationship with it. That means if I ask a question, an answer may arise. That it has a way of guiding me in a certain direction. I don't know. Have you had that experience as well?
For sure, I remember whenever I was going through a session and things were unfolding, for sure you feel the intelligence that's there with you, that's like almost uh, revealing everything to you, and you feel very safe because everything is um, very wholesome, very like it's it's very easy also because you don't feel like a mistrust or negativity. It's very easy to like to get into it and to almost allow yourself to be guided and to see like, oh, it's all for the good. It's all for healing, wholeness, opening, connection. So the more that you experience that, the more that you also trust, like, yeah, I'm open to have the shift that is needed for my own development or betterment, and so I can also like live a more wholesome life or live a more harmonious life. So for sure, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Um, can you tell me about how your overall relationships have changed because of energy work?
They have become much more honest. And that means for me personally, I used to be the person to avoid conflict. That's just something that was built into me, you know, keeping everything harmonious. And yeah, and it, out of being uncomfortable when things get a bit shaky or when people don't agree. And the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years, something like that, it's been a movement to become so much more honest about what is truly there, and what is truly on my mind, and not covering it up. Um, um, this was getting used to in the beginning, opening this center and really
Mm.
speaking the truth, and then being a little dragon sometimes, really like. But if it's authentic, it doesn't last very long. It's like, I think the other day I said to someone, "Don't give me that look." It's like, and then it's gone. It's just like, it's out, and it's open. So they have become um, much more honest, and honesty doesn't have to be rough. Um, but yes, it can. Yeah. So you sometimes you say goodbye to people in a certain time, or but mostly that, you know, being more true to yourself.
Mm. Thank you. So you don't have to answer this, but can you maybe say something about sexual life before having an active kundalini and afterwards?
I knew this question was going to come. Um, how would I answer that? No, I am very willing to answer that. I think we should talk about all these life experiences. For me, these sessions are not about sexuality, but sexuality is part of our human experience.
Mm.
So um, I have gotten to know myself so much better, because I think for many people, and I'm talking about a female perspective, um, having a sexual relationship with yourself first, knowing yourself, is sort of very important in a way of sharing it with someone else. So that part has totally transformed. So the stigma or the shame or the conditionings that I myself had for my sexuality, that those disappeared.
Mm.
So what it's like for me to enjoy? Am I free to enjoy? Can I ask for what I want? And that doesn't mean that it's easy, but it means that I can be honest about, oh, I find, this is maybe a bit scary, but this is truly what I would enjoy right now. So it can become more intense.
Yeah.
So it can become more intense. It can also become so much more connecting.
Yeah.
Because not everything is about the physical enjoyment. It can also become about how connected you are while being in the experience. Oftentimes, when we have these energetic openings, your whole body starts to be part of the experience. So it's not only certain regions. So people and myself, I can have experience we have during the sessions, during lovemaking. Your body starts to shake, your spine starts to arch, your body starts to move in a way that is energetically nice, beautiful, enjoyable. And it's also an opening up for consciousness to expand. So part of it is very physical, and then part of it is also what allows that energy to do with your state of being during or afterwards. So then it becomes something that well serves a higher purpose. Well, now it's a both purpose, but it's like, wow, that's a beautiful way of enjoying it as well.
Mm.
Do you recognize that?
So for me, I remember when my energy became very, very active, very alive, sexuality transformed for me from doing to being.
Mm-hmm.
And that allowed me to really feel the depth of the experience instead of only being focused on the surface of what it tastes like or what you see or where you want to get to really like almost going into a bath and really like submerging yourself in it and really having those deeper feelings that you're like, wow, I'm alive, I can have these kind of experiences. I wonder how many other people are aware that you can have these kind of experiences on such a deep level. So it's very profound, very profound.
Yes. And have you experienced, because sometimes you can have, it feels a bit different, but you can have like energetic explosions in different centers where you can feel your head explode or your chest or your throat. Yeah, it doesn't always happen, but when it happens, it's like, wow, this is really enjoyable.
Yeah. So do you have any like dreams for the future?
You mean energy related or on a personal level?
For you, for Nadia?
Well, I'm getting to the bigger dreams. In the short-term dreams is that I hope my father finds a good place for him to maybe transition in his life. And I hope it's going to be smooth, and then, I can serve that process in a way. We've spoken a little bit about it, but I guess most people will know what I mean. And I hope I can still, enjoy my mom for a very long time and let her be part of our facilitator family. My dream is to keep my inner peace and to keep feeling clearness on the road to travel, and to let so many more lights light up, and not through me, but through all of you. And I'm looking at you because you took the training, but whatever you're doing, so whether it is energy or whether it's other types of work, my dream is just that, we will light up together, because I like to focus on bringing light instead of pushing against all the things we don't want. So I'm not sticking my head in the sand. I see what is happening. I feel I don't have any control over those kind of things, but I do have control over bringing something else, which is already a movement in another direction. Yeah. So my dream is that I don't run over, myself trying to bring the lights, because that will have a different effect. So keeping my inner peace, but keeping track or staying steady and walking that path.
Thank you for sharing.
In the future, I would very much enjoy training others to train this type of work. So in that way, it would spread even more. We're not there yet, but that definitely would be a dream. We are now in the States. We are in Australia, but I think there is a lot of more countries to reach.
Currently you're teaching level 1 and level 2, right? What is level 1 and level 2 about?
Well, I have on purpose not named it level 2.
Oh.
Because that would mean if you would take that training, you would be better than the level 1. And yes, you would be
advanced
better.
Training.
It's like,
Apologies.
oh, you see this happening. Oh, you know what? I took this training and now I'm a level 2 facilitator. You know what? I'm much better than you. I don't like that. I don't like that. And I don't want people in my family competing with each other. So you will learn something different. In the advanced training, you learn cosmic energy. And that is with both very necessary. So kundalini energy, is a lot of it on a personal journey, making room for who you truly are, clearing the way so you can reconnect with that, releasing whatever needs to be released and allowing everything that needs to be allowed in. And we can keep doing that forever because life keeps hitting us and we keep building up stuff. And sometimes we just need to, clean our house. But in cosmic energy, for some people, and not for everyone, but we keep feeling the need or the desire to have an experience of where we come from. The longing for home. And in cosmic energy, this is what we will focus upon. Opening the pathways to having an experience of home. I guess what, a near-death experience would be, but not dying, not nearly dying, but having it in an energetic way. Still a process of invitation. We cannot force this on anyone. But we can create the space and certain practices that open what we call Brahma Nadi. This is the gateway to Brahma, the everything that is, or all that is, that we have an experience. for me, cosmic is just the way I experience it personally. Sometimes it could be traveling throughout the star system, or it could be being in the center of the sun, but at least it is less earthy and more black hole, open, Milky Way experience.
So will the facilitators then be able to give like kundalini energy sessions and cosmic energy sessions?
Exactly. Exactly, yes.
Mm.
And I actually would recommend often doing those things together, like in a day retreat, where kundalini energy is a very nice way of preparing the system, of cleaning the system, of letting everything come out that needs to come out and open up, and then having very fertile soil and go into the non-dual practices. So we have certain practices you could do on a day like that, and then go into the experience. So that's one of the options. There's also the option to offer a different type of one-on-one session for it. But for those who go into the weekends with us, we will, prepare the settings. So you broaden your offer. It doesn't mean you become so much better than the rest of your friends. No, you learn something different.
You train a lot of people and you have a big energy family. I wonder, when you see the facilitators you trained, is there like a thing that you see that people can get stuck in, like a certain pattern or loop or limitation, or is there like some advice that you want to give to certain people or something like that?
Well, advice. Well, I see people over time always reaching for the next thing, or always trying to think of how to become better. And you are already enough. That's what I would like to say to them. You're already enough. You are enough. Energy is enough. We can have a deeper experience when we surrender, when we trust, when we dive deeper into the same process. It's really not about getting a million certificates, and then you will be able to provide the most deep experience. Often, if you deep dive into one, that's what will allow you to create the space to create those kind of experiences. I also always feel the need to learn more, about different things. I'm super interested because I was trained by a chiropractor. I'm always super interested in things to do with the spine and so on. But I do limit myself, like, okay, enough now, you don't have to be constantly learning. Once a year is enough. But do it because you enjoy it. For instance, I know you enjoy it a lot to learn, but don't do it because you think, okay, but if I get this, then I will be able to give those kind of sessions. No, that's already within you. And then often you also see that, okay, but maybe, we make the sessions better by adding something. So that you add something. Let's do a little bit of this extra, or a little bit of that extra, a little bit. And then, what are people coming to? Are they coming for a ceremony? Are they coming for this? Are they coming for the same? And, but usually you're either good at this part or you're either good at that part, or I did things where, you know, people wanted to do maybe cacao, and then you have to prepare all of that, and then some people get nauseous during the sessions from it, and then, you know, it needs to be a certain temperature and stuff, and you're so consumed with arranging all of it, your sessions are a little bit less. Because you're not there fully.
Yeah.
So yeah, but if there's any advice, and then again, you know, what do I know? If you authentically feel that that is your path, that is your path. Maybe you find you want to do much more relaxation before the session, or you want to do a little meditation before the session. I would say, you know, go ahead, find your own way. I have found the way I feel works the best for me.
What's like your favorite food or dessert that you cannot say no to?
Oh, this is like guilty pleasures. Oh, I'm who is going to help me get rid of the addiction? I like candy. I like candy. I don't like chocolate. I don't like cookies. Well, you know, the occasional cake, yes. Candy. I like candy. I must be stuck somewhere in a sort of an age thing. But anything that is gooey things, I love it. I absolutely love it. That's yeah, it's an addiction.
You have a special kind that you eat
All kinds, no.
kinds.
Well, there is some kinds that it's different phases. At one point, it's like those kinds that I really enjoy. I don't like the soury ones; they hurt my teeth. I do enjoy sometimes licorice. Yes, it's guilty pleasures.
What quality do you want to embody the most?
The first thing that came to my mind and I started to think about it was kindness. Kindness, yeah.
Thank you. You already have that a lot. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm thinking back of I once years ago was in a relationship. I don't know what I did there, but I'm like a really sweet, kind person. And I remember once he said, well, that's really not in the top 5 of the things I'm looking for. And I'm like, well, this is really not the right match, because it's like on number 1, number 2, number 3, and then maybe something else.
What's like your favorite pastime?
Thing to do when I'm I love yoga. I love yoga. I don't get to do it enough. Well, you know, but I love doing that. Those kind of things is what you mean, right? I enjoy the occasional good movie. Yesterday I watched Intouchable again. This is really like heartwarming. Being out in nature, cycling a lot, and I love to grow vegetables. Yes,
okay.
My peppers are growing, and I'm going to just restart my kale collection. I love growing. This makes me really humble. From seeds, really seeing how, you know, the transformative process from this little seed into the plant, and then the flowers and the fruit. Yeah, makes me really humble.
So imagine that there is a person and he or she feels really lost or really purposeless in life, and they want to really live. So would you recommend them to be like, okay, you do the reconnection, and then you do energy sessions, and then just give it some time and you will be on your path?
No, well, actually, I'm quite the opposite of doing. I don't recommend that much. If somehow they got on my path, then yeah, I guess, you know, doing something that we have to offer might work for them. Very often, if they do a couple of energy sessions, this enables their own inner navigation system. So that allows them to find their path. So what I would say to them is like, well, let's try. If you take a few of these sessions, and then the cost isn't high. This is why I'm also thinking, you know, if they take a session for €50, this can be done 2-3 times. And if that initiates their own inner guidance system to go online again, they will find their path on their own. You might point here and there to some of the things that worked for you. Yeah, but I'm very much hoping that they will find their own inner guidance.
Yeah. Is there something that you wish to share as a last message, or I don't know?
Well, that's actually about you.
Okay.
Because I would say to the people who are in Belgium, who are close to you, I would say, go see this man, go be in his sessions, go be in it's called the channel of love, right? The way you have it. Go online there, see what he has to offer. Because now, you probably want to lose your headset because I have seen. Now, I'm not doing this to make you feel better, but I have seen so much light around him, open heart, so much willingness to share his love, his dedication to this process of consciousness and expanding it, and personal development with others, that I truly recommend that you'd be in his care, surrender on his mat, and you're surrendering to the energy, but also to the facilitator. So what is the best way for people to reach you?
Through Instagram or kundalini.alignment@outlook.com.
Okay, well, you'll have to put that somewhere in the description box, because you're always, I have seen a couple of these interviews, you're always putting other people in the spotlight. But I think it's also time for you to be in the spotlight, because I somehow feel that you have integrated from so many different backgrounds, from so many different teachers, from so many different experiences that you had. You know, you truly, I don't know where you went. I think you went all over the place to have all the different types of you went to Germany, you went to all the different modalities that are out there, the different names, the different labels. So you really integrated that all in the way you are providing your sessions. And honestly, that's also, you know, what I'm seeing in you. It's all integrated, and if people feel drawn to it, I just want to say, go find him and you know, have an experience that may change your life.
Thank you so much, Nadia.
I mean it.
Thank you. How can people reach you if they want to learn more about you and your work?
I have a website called nadiarama.nl. You can see events there. You could drop me an email. I am not always online, but I'll do my best to reply. And otherwise, we have the channel Nadia Van Ram Energy School for all the facilitators on Instagram, or Nadia Van Ram Energy is my personal channel if people wanna follow that.
Yeah, I can really recommend all the work that you share, because it's really profound, deeply touching, and you're such a warming presence. So I'm really grateful that I got to meet you and learn from you and receive so many healing sessions and really beautiful moments with you. So thank you.
Another one. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much for this invitation, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah.